It seems like they're in between save for the climb or chase Mike.
All right, guys, let's talk about club ladder. As you guys know, I love club ladder racing. I feel like it has been the catalyst to my experience when it comes to leveling up in Zwift and being a stronger Zwift racer. Tonight, we went up against the OTR Swagger team, which, as you guys know, we've raced them in the past. We've done well against them. We've done poorly against them. They are an incredible team. Got a couple familiar names on the team as previous. You know, they are a fantastic group, fantastic squad. Same thing with our team. Got a couple familiar names, a couple new names. But what I want you to know is that there's never a scenario where we go into this thinking like, we're cool, we got this. Like there's, no issues at all. Like we'll run the show and, think that everything's great. Because the reality is there are, especially on the OTR Swagger team, there are a couple guys that when you look at the raw numbers, you would think they would just run away with the game. They'd be able to launch off the front, repeated attacks, and completely control and dominate the experience. And that's really what it comes down to. And that's, the viewpoint or the lens that I want you to look at today's race through is what constraints does your power give you the ability to enforce?
Phenomenal cosmic powers!
And what I mean by that is there are other YouTubers out there, Zwifters, racers, that will often talk about what power determines how a race is won or how a race is lost. And oftentimes it's attributed to your 1 minute, 5 minute power, 15-second power, kind of the, sprinter style races or the, let's go on a breakaway and kind of, manage that or, let's bridge a gap type of efforts. But no one really looks at what your 20-minute power can do for you. And boy, oh boy, did Mike give us a masterclass on how to effectively use your 20-minute power to change the dynamics of a race.
So keep pushing it and
exactly
easy.
Why I'm doing this.
Good job, man.
And I've got to say, I've got to hand it to OTR. They did an absolutely incredible job basically doing all the work.
We should thank them for the pull.
Mike was just a guy that was not going to let himself get caught. The stage was perfect for him. Lots of flat, longer climbs so he can manage his efforts well. And then he was gone. At one point, we went through the casino, and as we're rolling through the casino, I thought we caught him. I honestly did. I thought we caught him. As we exit the casino, Mike was gone. Mike was about 7-8 seconds out, way ahead of the group. Come to find out after the fact, which I will refer you to his video, he put a little bit of a surge as we were getting through the casino, which allowed him to disappear. Now, I do want to circle back to our climb up the rooftop KOM. Now, we went up what I would call the unusual side because I don't ever really race up that side. I don't think I've ever ridden up that side. Now, Tiny Races last week was the first time I've gone up that climb, and I felt like I did well. I really came up that climb and felt strong. Tonight, however, I felt great. Not only did I climb well, our entire team climbed well. And really the entire squad, like all 10 of us in the ladder race. OTR did a fantastic job. They set a strong pace. They were mostly on the front, but still, kind of going back and forth between us and them. But that final, maybe half a kilometer, 500 meters, 700 meters, whatever it is, that final part of the climb, you could really see where the groups were stretching each other out a bit, but the people who were going to contend the stage were going to fight. And we all fought to the top. We all basically came across the line together, and it was awesome.
Everyone okay? Oh, we're all still on.
Oh, no super tucking around here. Good, sir.
Now, from that point on, it was Mike pushing off the front, and he kept going and going and going. Now, I don't know whether or not OTR decided that, hey, just let him go. Let him, let him be out there. Let him waste his energy. Or if they thought, hey, we'll let him get out a bit, and maybe we'll, do some pulls, bring him back in when it matters.
Watch for steamrollers in here.
Not sure.
One, two.
Yep.
Because this course is a rolling course. Like it's a lot of flat, and you only really have two defining features when it comes to the terrain. You have the rooftop KOM, and then you have the temple KOM. Now, we weren't going all the way up the temple KOM, which was fantastic, because that is a hard climb. Like, that honestly would have completely changed the dynamics of how the results of the race went. And so between the rooftop KOM and the temple KOM, it's basically flat. Small little rolling hills, couple, 2%, 3%, bridges, climbs, stuff like that here and there, but nothing that's going to really change the tone of the race, because for the elevation you go up, you basically have a descent that matches that.
I think they're realizing these NV wheels are not good for chasing.
And with the group that we have, a lot of good riders, a lot of strong riders, a lot of plus size riders, you end up catching up on the downhill, and the group basically stays together. And so we were rolling good. And again, shout out to OTR, because they did a majority of the work. Especially Glace, however you pronounce it, apologize if I didn't pronounce it correctly. Dude, you are the man.
Hang on to him.
Yep. Glace is coming out. Looks like Yohi and Lloyd are saving themselves, because they got Glace working off the front big time.
Because I think I saw you out front probably about a good 70 to 80% of the time that OTR was doing the pulling. And then Yohi would come up, and then Keller would come up. And you guys were doing great. But man, Glace took one on the chin and just kept rolling and kept fighting and kept pushing to catch Mike. And there were times where we caught him. There were times where the group would catch up. Mike would get reeled in.
I overrolled it. Sorry, Mike.
Pace would ease up.
All right.
And Mike would disappear again. And he would go out into the distance. And that happened a couple times while we were in between the rooftop and the temple KOM. But once we got to the temple KOM, that's where the real race began. Now, I honestly thought going into the temple KOM that OTR would do some surges, they would push, and,
It's gonna be a fast climb. There's a lot of fresh legs. All right, they're gonna want to push.
Good job, Mike.
Great job, man.
there's a point where it basically just starts where the terrain starts elevating, and then you have a small plateau, and then you go up again into the temple KOM, into the official start of the KOM. And so I honestly thought they were going to push a lot harder on that part of the stage. But ultimately, Mike being Mike, his plan worked. He went off the front, and because they were working so hard, they just weren't able to really effectuate change in that part of the stage. And so as we hit the Temple KOM, we're all looking at, okay, how many kilometers we have left, how much distance we have left. At this point, we've all basically stayed in the zone 2, zone 3 range. Again, thanks to OTR, doing a lot of work, all the work. We basically stayed in that range. And so we were like, all right, we need to attack the climb. You know, my plan was to go with 400 meters to go. Now, as we were approaching the climb, I was looking at the terrain profile and I kept seeing that flat spot in the middle. And I was thinking like, man, the meters are ticking down. We still haven't gotten to that flat spot. Is it possible that the finish is on the flat spot? And so I was thinking like, if it's on the flat spot, I'm going to go 1,000 watts and I'm going to win this.
Yep.
Like, I'm going to take it for the team. I'm going to catch up to Mike and bridge up to him immediately because that's, you know, a flat sprint for me is easy. But and then we round the corner and start the climb. And at that point, I was like, all right, I'm going to have to push and I'm going to have to push hard because this is not my, you know, I'm learning to build a better climbing profile for myself, but this is not my forte. So I was like, all right, well, we hit the climb with 400 meters to go. I launched some power, was able to bridge up to, I think Yohi ended up, you know, pushing off first, and then I, you know, caught up to him and passed him. And then Michael, so we have Mike and Michael. Michael's already off the front, way up there. He was basically at 200 meters to go when I was just starting the climb. But Michael Huang
if you take it from me, that's fine.
flew past us.
Keep going, Mike.
Keep going.
Flew past everybody. And you got to check out Mike's video for that because it is fantastic. Because he looked like a model rocket just launching past Mike. With about 150 meters to go, he went from next to Mike to crossing the finish line.
Mike, we're coming
And
up.
then from that point on, it was OTR, us kind of intermixed,
Mike, keep going.
pushing up those last few hundred meters of the climb, and the race was finished.
Oh, man.
Pedal hard, pedal hard.
I got it. Second.
Nice.
Mike.
Oh,
Nice.
good job, guys.
Oh, Mike.
Great job, guys. 1, 2, 3. Fantastic.
Nice.
We're even that way.
Yeah.
What idiot. Decided a 12K solo was a good idea.
Hey, he did it, man.
Hey, it worked, man.
And like I said, I got to say, this was a fantastic race. Again, you know, I'll keep saying it because OTR really deserves the credit that they earned. They fought hard. They raced well. They launched a few attacks here and there that we had to cover.
I got him.
And we made sure that, you know, we covered them well. But at the end of the day, thanks to Mike and his absolute insanity of a move, basically going on his own breakaway from early on in the race, I think he spent, out of the 22 kilometers-ish that we raced, he probably spent maybe 12 of them off the front by himself, if not more than that. And so that really was the race-winning move for our team. And like I said, it was a fantastic race. Thank you, OTR. You guys did a fantastic job. And so what were the results? Well, as I alluded to numerous times, we won. Crabs won. And again, it was truly Mike's effort on that race-winning move. We got a straight run on the podium, 1, 2, 3. And then myself and Ian came in 6th and 7th, which, again, on that climb, I went into it feeling good, and then I knew I hit my limit pretty quick. But I honestly did not expect the race to end up the way it did. Going into it, I was like, all right, they've got some strong guys. I honestly didn't look at the actual route that we were doing initially. I thought we were on RGB, but we weren't. That's how way off I was. And so I was like, this is another flat race with a little bit of rolling hills, where it's a little bit painful to kind of run those scenarios. But we ended up in McCurry, fantastic course. And I honestly thought, this is OTR Swagger. We've gone up against them before. They're strong. They're great at doing these, repeated attacks and really kind of making us work hard to bridge those attacks and ultimately make us work to failure. But this time around, things worked the other way. They ended up working the hardest to try and bridge that gap from us to Mike, and we got to benefit. So I will leave you guys with that. If you're into club ladder racing, feel free to check out any other videos that I have on the subject. Or if you want to participate in a club ladder race, check out the Discord links in the description and let us know. Let us know if you want to participate. All right, guys, I will catch you on the next race. Cheers.